Welcome, everyone. This is Pvmp Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at lasers in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin.
Hi.
Sazwinda.
Hello.
Kilabathian.
Things are going very strange. What's going on? But hello, yes.
And Krister.
Hello.
Hello, everyone, and let us go and see what's in the news this week, where we had an update 31.0.3, which was released on Thursday, where the Deeds of Gundabad will properly update now if you have completed the Deeds of Stonejaw's deed. And for PvMP, Lookazag will now spawn in the appropriate keep commanders when flipping, and PvMP armor and jewelry will now be unequipped after leaving the Ethenmoors. Cloaks will be disabled at a later date. So don't expect to be using your PvMP armor.
There were some impulsive shoppers that are embittered by that change.
I suppose so. Because the idea there is that they're trying to separate the kit you're wearing in PvMP and PvE so that there'd be less crossing of the streams, let's say, of rewards of one affecting the other. They're trying to avoid balancing PvMP for PvMP changes with PvE and vice versa. We'll see how well they succeed. As for quests and adventuring areas, in the Fate of Gundabad, difficulty tiers 4 and 5 with a Den of Puklak and Assault on Thurstroke will become available with you with update 31.0.3. Tiers 4 and 5 chests allow a single pull weekly. Nowni, in the quest Cloven Gap Mistwalkers, will no longer vanish on players who are working on Matter of Hunt and Heart. Pit of Stonejaw's instance, the apprentice's attack, the instance will no longer become stuck if you defeat the Dwarf Whites too quickly. In Glooming Tarn, Idle Discourtesies, Spall no longer phases out after he travels to Luganala, so this quest is now always completable. Welkenlov's instance, the Giant's Den, the instance is no longer become stuck if you free Horin from his bonds before freeing yourself from your own.
Wait a minute. Hold up. How does that happen? Do you chew through them?
I have no idea. I haven't gotten to that point yet.
I haven't either, but I'm like, how do you free someone else from their bonds, before you get, don't you need hands for that?
Maybe you have very clever toes.
Toes!
Thaifi in Cloven Gap will no longer unintentionally fall through the floor.
Oops.
The door to the library in Assault on Thurstroke is now closed until you find 9. Fixed an exploit that allowed players to summon Muta in higher tiers of Assault on Thurstroke. The effects of Muta's Tenacity of the Dwarves buff has been decreased. Hobgoblins in Gundabad have stopped holding back, and their deep wounds effects will now properly deal damage instead of healing the player character.
Hobgoblins trying to be sneaky and help us out.
Like wielding Nerf weapons with aloe vera on them, so they're just soothing when they touch us,
Yes, that explains why the Hobgoblins weren't as bad in Gundabad for a while. Reclaiming the Mountain Hold Weekly now awards Embers of Enchantment, and Challenges of Gundabad Weekly now awards Embers of Enchantment. And Brawlers can now properly advance the instance, A Need for Words.
Brawlers don't need words. They speak with their fists.
That's true.
Yes. And as for Miscellaneous, there is a new screen at the end of the installation wizard that users will see if there is an installation problem. The screen has red text on it and will stand out. If you encounter this issue, please contact technical support through help@steinstonegames.com. And that is it for Update 31.0.3. They also had a Bulwer preview for Update 31.1. First off, they did have the first look at Ashad Zahar, the Houses of Rest. Deep in the pit of stone jaws, a grand tomb holds the remains of many ancient dwarf lords of Gundabad. The necromancer Lokanashra, now empowered with the spirit of Rugoth, has returned to raise an army and claim her vengeance upon those who wrong. This is a new 6-player instance in Gundabad. Tiers 1 through 3 are open for testing, and the discovery deed was bypassed for beta, but there will of course be a discovery deed when the actual instance opens. Note that this instance is not really planned for Update 31.1. This was just a first view of it that they were given, and they thought to give a first view while they were doing the beta for 31.1. As for the release notes for 31.1 itself, they gave quite a list here, and that is they had in Denapu Clock multiple fixes to the boss battle. They decreased the damage skills of Mosruk's fight and assault on Thurstrok, slightly increased the damage on the bombing run hotspots for Mosruk's fight. And as for classes, Burglar, improve the odds of rarer drops being burgled.
That's always nice. But can we actually fix the fact that you can burgle things from a goblin's, loincloth? There's no pockets there. I don't want to think about where they're hiding them.
Well, maybe they're wearing a sash that has a small pouch on it.
They need a pouch or something, goblins do, so that I don't feel uncomfortable burgling them with my burgles.
As for captives, low-level versions of motivating speech will now properly affect raid-sized groups. Guardian break ranks modified by performance, but functionally changed, except that it now includes a visible effect to indicate its remaining cooldown. As for Runekeepers, fixed tooltip for Mystifying Flame trait. And for champions, Fury of Blades damage tracery no longer incorrectly applies to Merciful Strike.
Always beneficial. I guess the whole Runekeeper thing about the Mystifying Flame trait, it was truly mystifying because the tooltip was wrong. Now it's fixed. It's not as mystifying.
As for crafting housing items, the following housing decorations are now correctly classified as furniture and can be placed in a furniture or yard hook. Purple fungal bush, pink fungal bush, dark green fungal bush, essentially fungal bushes.
Wait, also there's fungal grass.
And fungal grass, yeah, I guess you can't forget the fungal grass either. If you've already placed these items in a wall hook, you will need to remove them and place them into an appropriate furniture or yard hook. As for Gundabad rewards, additional cosmetic rewards have been added to the following Gundabad barter vendors: Jaruka Allegiance, Geode Hunter, and the honored and celebrated tiers of Reclaimers of the Mountain Hole. And small and yard hooks have been consolidated into a single yard hook type. Gundabad crafted shields now crit and achieve the correct eye level. Renaming crafted light armor pieces that were using misleading item names. The Brawler Pugilist gear set is now properly requires a minimum level of 60 to use. And the following old legendary items can now be deconstructed for Ancient Script. Title Bestower, Crystal of Remembrance, Scroll of Delving, Scroll of Renewal, Scrolls of Empowerment, Legacy Replacement Scrolls, and they fixed the tooltips for Ignore Pain Tracery. Just remember that all these things I'm saying were for the beta release notes. And as for Pvmp Pvp Gear, well, they already implemented the Pvmp Gear one. And as for the quest and adventure areas, Clothing Gap instances corruption source into text will no longer be underlined and intro name will be displayed properly. Quest guide updated for Legacy of Durin Chapter 10.2. Geodes have been renamed to improve sorting in the barter wallet. And additional Gundabad quest instances have been added to the Gundabad reflecting pool in Steep Set. And Quest Agatar has a new Gundabad endgame quest, Reflections on Gundabad Daily. And for Clothing Gap Gundabad, quest Corrupting the Deserters will now grant the proper reputation and rewards. Festive Flurry quest now requires 4 completions of the daily quest in the Spirit of Yule, down from 5.
Crap, it's the Yule Festival, isn't it?
Yeah, the Yule Festival will be coming with this, yes.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay.
In quest Searching for Treasures, it is now slightly easier to obtain dwarf-made treasures when searching chests and corpses in Gundabad. And quest Gundabad mission chests now have a chance of dropping a Relic of Gundabad barter token, right? Many Z fighting issues in Madagard and Deepsgrade have been resolved. And physics and deco issues in Gaza Fark have been resolved, and soft physics spots in Madagard and Deepsgrade have been resolved. Opening the map panel while in Stoneheight will now show the North Downs map. What was it showing before?
Wait, the North Downs or the North Downs?
I would presume they meant the North Downs.
I mean, there's the North Downs near Bree. Anyway.
Yeah, the North Downs is that area that's north of Trestle Bridge, and because the Stoneheight is the North Downs.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I was like, wait a minute. We were just talking about Gundabad, and I'm like, Gundabad's in the North Downs? What? No.
Okay. Gundabad Clothing Gap quest, the broken benches of Danajeg. The discovery zone for the park has been expanded. Mission Servants of Thorkar Uknad, she who feeds now resets if she falls into the pit. Slow travel
that
from
would mean you won.
Yeah. Oh well.
If she falls into the pit, doesn't she die? Do you not win?
Apparently not. Slow travels from Seaset to Felgat now behaves as expected. Stuck spots in High Sundagrot have been fixed. Floating debris in Ritherset has been grounded. The effects of Muta's Tenacity of the Dwarves buff has been decreased. Fishing is now available in the waters of Gundabad.
Just what we needed.
People fishing in Gundabad? Yes, a stray dwarf deep beneath Gundabad has been removed.
What?
Yeah, apparently somebody adopted the stray dwarf.
What's your name?
I mean, why is it a problem if there was a dwarf in Gundabad? I don't understand.
The only dwarf in Gundabad.
I guess it's because I haven't actually been into Gundabad yet.
Yes. Quest, Zyphil in Clothing Gap will no longer unintentionally fall through the floor. Deeds, the Deeds of Gundabad deed will properly update now if you've completed the Deeds of Stonejaw's deed. think they already implemented that one. It reduced morale regen rates for 131 to 140 by about 25%, as they were somewhat inflated due to the changes made to the player base vitality rates for Gundabad. And the door to the library in Assault to Thursday is now... a couple of these have already been mentioned, so we'll just skip by the rest of these. And as for Miscellaneous, the Shabruka Allegiance rewards track now shows which levels to unlock the Allegiance chapter quest, so that's nice. It took me a while to figure out that pattern. Shabruka Allegiance, the relic's trade-up values have been adjusted so that it is easier to barter for Shabruka Allegiance rewards. And high elf horse riding animations now match the other avatars.
Wait a minute, what?
I can't tell you how excited I am to do more Allegiance stuff. If they have another thing like the Elf Allegiance for Mordor, I am going to rage quit this game.
No, there's nothing like the high elf.
No, you know why? Because this is dwarves, and they don't run around doing stupid stuff like, oh, it must be horrible to be a human.
Well, yeah, you won't hear any of that during that. The thing that you won't like about the Allegiant system for Gundabad is that it's the Shabruka.
I don't mind the Shabruka.
Oh, okay, I guess...
I mean, some of them are jerks, but that's not widespread.
Oh, okay. I guess I thought it was more widespread than it was.
No, I mean, some of the Shabruka are clearly not good people, but I don't mind them as a whole.
All right.
Are you saying that some of the Shabruka probably should have been in Mordor? Or are they not that?
I'm saying that some of the Shabruka I could generally get fish slapped by Sans for just being really annoying. But no, judgment-wise, I don't make judgments on the Shabruka the same way that I do on elves, where all NPC elves deserve fish slapping. Like all NPC elves deserve fish slapping.
All of them?
Oh. All of them. Every single one of them at some point. Just the NPC ones. I'm not going to call out people's characters because it's a totally different thing. But yeah, NPC elves really suck.
Oh, well.
Are you saying that certain people who live in Rivendell and actually kind of rule the place might need fish slapping? Maybe his whole family needs just line him up and take a big fish and just slap
I can't tell you how much I wanted to smack Arwen after that fiasco with the Elf Allegiance. Like, put her over my knee and just smack her.
With fish.
With something. She just deserved a spanking. Oh, she just deserves spanking in general. I was so mad. So mad.
Yeah.
The hilarious thing is that Trish actually thought I was going to like that. She's like, "Oh, you're gonna love this one." No, I never finished that one because I did that conversation and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done. No more helping elves."
We'll help yourself.
I moved on to dwarves because the dwarves are good people. Not to mention that the dwarf missions have you like delivering kegs of beer to Mordor. I mean, it's questionable why you should be putting the kegs of beer down in the lava field. I would think that's not healthy for the dwarves or the kegs of beer. But, that's where dwarves get thirsty. I get it.
Terry, you haven't had enough kegs of beer to understand the logic of doing it yet. So
she's not had enough kegs of lava-heated beer either.
Oh, that's the best. Get some Chipotle.
Anyway.
No, beer should generally be served cold.
Like revenge?
Yeah, just like that.
Here's revenge. Okay, I get it. Make note to self.
One other note that they had is that you'll note that in all that stuff I mentioned for the 31.1 list, they did not include the legendary item reward track in there. They decided that the legendary item reward track is an upcoming feature that will provide players with a new way to advance their legendary items. Our initial intention was the release would be on update 31.1, but the system needs a bit more time before it is ready. So the reward track is now to be released in update 31.2 in early 2022. Here is how it'll work. As you advance through the track, you'll unlock rewards along the way. The track is account-based, so any of your characters can contribute to this progress. All its rewards are designed to scale to the level of the character that claims them, regardless of when you, as the player, earn them. The legendary item reward track is a method for players to earn enhancement rooms, traceries, and other rewards through the regular gameplay, and players will advance the track by earning legendary item XP. The track will refresh about every 3 months with a new set of rewards. And they're looking forward to showing us more about this in the near future. I guess that will probably be when they have the first bulwer for 31.2 sometime, probably early January.
Well, and of course that seems to justify the experience runes still dropping.
Yes,
well, right?
This is why we're getting all those experience runes.
Yeah, how much are we guessing we're going to hate this?
I'm going to hate it because they didn't increase our inventory ability to purchase more inventory space. So,
well, yeah, we'll have to find that out when we see the first bulwer ones, and we'll probably hear the opinions about it. Then let's head on to the Dramatican, where... Actually, I should say one more note on 30.1 before I continue. 30. I hope that was it. Okay, that is my typo. All right, it's 31.1. Yes. All right. One more note on the 31.1 preview, and that is scheduled for next week because they went 31.1 is going to include the Yuletide stuff. Therefore, of course, they'll need to get that out because they're planning on opening up the Yule Festival, I believe, on the 9th. So 31.1 then, of course, will be scheduled the 9th. So then, let's head to our LOTRO Beacon, issue 228. For the community spotlight, we have the OneRing.net chats with members of the LOTRO team. You can watch their interview on the One Ring YouTube channel. And the Yuletide Festival begins on December 9th, as I just said before. You get ready for the event with Fibro Jedi's Guide. And Gons has completed the Fate of Gundabad Explorer's Guide. Get these great maps on his website. As for the events calendar, let's see. Havadi Yule calendar kicked off this weekend and needs your help. And you can read more about this in the Lost Order of the Madam blog. And let's see, the 13th annual Grand Elven Ball was today, so that's already passed. The Green-Eyed Gamer is hosting a group session for Slayer D's. That was today also. A lot of stuff was going on Laurelin today. Polnolune presented Songs of the Nightbird on Saturday on Laurelin also. Very busy on Laurelin. And Winterfest takes place next weekend, and you get information about this 3-day concert event on Crick Hollow on LOTRO Artists. So this will be on Crick Hollow. And that is next week. Now let's have our weekly comment. If your character were in the books, who would they replace?
Oh, Lord. Which character?
Well, that's for you to decide. I'm just trying to imagine who Morkandir would replace.
That's the first person I thought about. I was like, who would Morkandir replace? And I was like, I don't know, but whoever it was, they would probably get stuff done a whole lot more efficiently. Don't be nice, just stab him and go. Morkandir would obviously replace Arwen. No.
I was thinking Morkandir as Gollum, actually.
Gollum?
What's bad is I thought the same thing.
Now, why are you saying that? Why are you saying that to my precious poor bean?
It's the bloodthirstiness and the willingness to kill.
Do you blame him? Have you played the same game I have?
Yeah.
You don't want to stab all people?
In fact, I've played more of it than you have,
Exactly.
I don't necessarily want to stab everybody.
You don't want to stab Leland?
No. I thought that quest was really funny, actually.
Heretic.
So very, so very hoppity. I mean, come on.
I see the barricades being set up in the hallway.
It's called the cat obstacle course, actually.
Oh, the cat obstacle course. Oh, poor Loki. Let's see.
He tried going downstairs earlier, and
I caught him almost on the landing. I was like, "Where do you think you're going, sir?"
Apparently, he forgot what was waiting for him down there.
Well, because Diamond was in her crate and she was being quiet for once, and Red had finally shut up. He spent the day squawking.
Yes, he did.
All right, finally, after thinking about it, I think Krista would be Harry Potter. Wait, which books were we talking about?
That's the wrong genre.
Yeah. We're talking about the Lord of the Rings. I mean, if you want someone for the Silmarillion instead, be my guest. But LOTRO is based on the Lord of the Rings.
That's assuming you've read the boring elf book.
Is Krister's the one with the ghost, right?
The ghost with the most.
He's obviously Aragorn then.
Yeah, Krister would totally be Aragorn.
Yeah.
Obviously.
All right, I guess that's and I will presume then that since I have a Hobbit ward and I'm trying to think what do I replace Meriadoc and
doesn't matter if you want to replace another Hobbit. You can replace
I mean, technically I have a fake Mary that I made for reasons. Middle-earth lore. So, to that extent, I mean, I already have a character that would replace a character in the books.
Yes, I had the Frodo for that.
But actually, Terry would probably replace that guardsman in Minas Tirith with the kid. Or she'd replace the kid.
Yeah.
I was about to say, would anybody have a character to replace Elrond?
No, because nobody's going to admit that their character is that annoying.
That's why we need to replace him. Morkandir could replace Elrond, and things would go so much more smoothly.
Come on!
If nobody would be coming to him.
Yes,
for advice all the time.
If 13 dwarves came to your doorstep in Rivendell, Morkandir would have killed them all, and then Smaug would still be alive.
He would have fed them to Smaug and said, "Okay, if you leave these people alone, I will totally let you eat these dwarves."
All right. Anyone else with any opinions on this? Did anyone from the chat respond on that? Nope. Then
provided provided that the only dwarf that was not eaten was actually Thorin. And only then if it was the movie Thorin, the game Thorin, and book Thorin, go ahead. But I'm just saying.
Let's head to the fan site news. Last week, we found a dragon in the room. And
I like how they said find a dragon in the room. If there's a dragon in the room, unless it's very small, I don't think that's a problem.
Well, there's an
not
old
exactly
joke.
Hiding.
Yeah, there is an old joke in the Mythgard kinship is that whenever we're doing roving threats, that we are unable to see dragons. So he says, "Oh yeah, I saw it here. Oh, there must not have been a dragon or something like that because there was one time where there was this huge dragon somewhere, and somehow we didn't notice it."
Hey, it happens.
Yeah.
My sister didn't see the 20-foot tree that she scraped her car into when she was like 16, 17. It was literally the only thing that was there, but she didn't see it. She was trying to avoid another car. How did you scrape this car? I didn't see the tree. Literally like 20 foot tall and 3 feet around. How did you not? You know what?
She was paying attention to the other car.
You did not see the dragon.
Bloodborne had revised his podcast to talk about the latest news in ANAD Global 7. You could hear his podcast on anchor.fm. LOTRO Stream is your first stop. To find LOTRO on Twitch this week, Beneath Your Feed goes on a pub crawl, plugging along, writes a soliloquy, and a random in Middle-earth heads into the dead marshes. Also on Twitch, Potino Bowen runs a Redline Burglar. Icer Secrets feels sassy and keeps smiling runs Fate of Gundabad. And over on YouTube, Louis7 has the latest news from EG7 and LOTRO. Gamer Penny runs Attack on Zundragun and Zegog Journeys to the Past. Biobreak travels into Angmar, and you read Sip's thoughts on his blog. So let's have a look at the screenshot of the week.
Ooh, that's kind of big.
LOTRO Screens grabs this intense screenshot from the Den of Puchlok. In this week's screenshot, I was wondering why I didn't recognize it. You can find LOTRO Screens on Twitter. Submit your screenshot for consideration by emailing it to lotro@sandstonegames.com. And that is it for the LOTRO Beacon this week. So let's have a look at what's on sale this week. Terry.
Well, the Yuletide savings this week, you can get 75% off the Keepsakes of the Grey Mountains bundle, 50% off the High Elf race, and 35% off Tracery Reclamation Scrolls. I still hate that name. And then for our regular weekly sale, it's 20% off Pets and Kites, select housing items, and select mounts, all through December 9th. And our weekly coupon is a free rejuvenation potion times 5 with coupon code FULFILLED now through December 9th.
All right. Then let's send it to our week in gaming. Calabathian, what were you up to?
Well, I pulled out my Trailer Park Champion with the Academy to advance the Epic Quest in Bree. Trailer Park Champions are brawlers, by the way. We decided that during the Academy. They're like champions, only kind of like they're from the Trailer Park version.
Right?
The girls finally went into Moria and got their LIs. It's only been like a year, but, you know, we finally got there. It was a little bit different, though, because it's been such a long time since I've actually had to fight the Watcher in the water. that I'm trying to remember if there was ever a time I actually did it with a non-shooty type. Because we're all burglars, we are kind of melee type, sneak up and stab things. Plus, we're hobbits, so I'm in the water swimming and stabbing.
Yeah, that quest is not fun for burglars in general. It's especially not at all fun for hobbit burglars.
Mm-hmm.
How horrible for the watcher, though. Just
I was
little piranha in the water.
Yeah, well, I was recently doing it on a brawler, so...
Yeah. But yes, we finally did that. And then ESO, I really didn't get into it this week except to do my riding skill speed. Pretty much I tried to do it every single day so that I'm not traveling at half the speed of sloth. You know those horses that they train to basically do dressage and they kind of go dee-dee-dee-dee-dee with all their little feet, but they're barely moving forward when they do it? Just, putting them up, picking them up, putting them down, and they're just like really, really close together underneath them, like they're trying to tiptoe in place or something. That's kind of what being like 1% riding speed is on ESO. That's what it feels like.
It kind of really is.
Mm-hmm. So I'm up to
Why am I on a horse? I'm pretty sure I can run faster than this.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Sans
really
Linda
what
often
I'm-
has a build that she literally does run faster than a horse.
But other than that, that's really all I did this week because it was like my last week of college stuff and I was busy trying to get everything done. But Krister, how about you?
Ended up playing a lot of LOTRO this week, going through Gundabad, and the one thing that I would love to see a change to is I'm interested in crafting stuff, but each thing costs 3 of the new shards, and those shards are not dropping, and so it's just so expensive. I just wish they would drop the shard requirements down a little bit, because I have been mining like a madman, and I've gotten 1 shard to drop.
You need to be running missions.
Oh, duh! Oh my goodness! I wasn't even thinking about doing that, Terry. You're right, because the missions I can actually trade.
Well, you get them. One of the rewards for missions is you get that crafting
oh my goodness. Okay, well then I'll be starting to do missions now.
That's why Terry was like super laser focused on missions until I got that pocket.
I've been focusing on finishing the epic with Krister so much that I've been thinking about anything else. That's perfect though. That's the next thing I'll do now. But the other thing I did this week was I made the final decision that I had Vallard my hunter up to 130, and I'm going to take my hunter and level him up to 140 now. But switching from Red Captain DPS, which the captain is my primary class I've played forever, to Red Hunter DPS. Wow. I'll just say wow. It feels like I have a machine gun, and I just hose down various areas of Gundabad, and everybody just kind of falls over. The hunter, it's pretty impressive playing that with the level 130 allies, and so I've been having a blast. Literally, just been blasting things right and left, just a continuous hail of arrows. But the other cool thing now is that I'm slow with this, so plenty of people have reached this milestone before. But I finally got to where I am non-buffed with my normal stuff that I'd always have up. I'm over 1 million morale now.
Nice.
So I'm feeling very nice, very happy with my tank, but also very frustrated with anything that does percentage damage to me. Because my argument is, if it does percentage damage, basically you're saying the stronger and tougher I am, the weaker I am, and the more damage I take.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Okay.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Exactly.
And for my non-LOTRO stuff, checked out the new Pathfinder, War of the Wrath of the Righteous. and that's looking pretty interesting. And then, of course, we had the Minecraft update, and have a new LPN map up, and so far looking really cool there. And Sans, what did you get up to?
Well, now that I've figured out how to unmute for sure, I got my level 50 ally for Burglera with the girls, and I discovered the most amazing tracery for burglars. You guessed it. It is run fast and stealth. So, I now have a speedy, sneaky burglar, and I am very excited about this. I also, that was almost all I did in gaming, but Minecraft updated, so I spawned into Minecraft 1.18, actually with Pineleaf, just to test it out and see what we were going to be in for when we started a server. And we spawned in the desert with nothing around us. So we kind of ran around our little area looking for any trees that might be in the area. And we finally saw like this kind of, maybe it would be the outline of a building in a distance, so we headed that direction. We got closer, and Pineleaf says, "That's a pillager outpost." And I look again, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that is a pillager outpost. Is this a good idea?" At this point, we have a handful of sticks and some sugarcane. And, like, well, we need something to build with. So, with the sticks in our hands, we raided the pillager outpost, and it was amazing. We successfully got away with enough wood to get started, built ourselves a boat, and rode out of there as many more pillagers spawned in, probably in indignation that we were at the top of their tower chopping down logs and diminishing the structural integrity of their base. So,
you guys should have lit it on fire just before you left too, just as a final.
We didn't have any ability to do that.
We had no ability to light it on fire. Though I did get a torch from them. At least I think it was from them. Can't imagine how else there would have been a torch there. We were trying to raid some wool from their outbuildings so we could get beds too. But at that point, there were definitely more than a few pillagers all training crossbows at us and shooting with sometimes better accuracy than we would have liked. So we skedaddled. But yeah, it was an adventure and kind of a fun way to start Minecraft 1.18. And then rolled a new Minecraft server for us this weekend and discovered a mushroom continent. It just continues for a very long ways, but it's pretty awesome. So, Terry, what have you been up to this week?
Well, this is going to include a couple weeks ago, but I joined the Academy this week to run in that Brawler Pack, Trailer Park Champions for the win. I don't remember which of the Finns gave us that line, but one of them said it, and I thought it was the most accurate description of the class, seriously. Because, the Brawler's not really a champion because you don't have any weapons other than your fists, but that's all you really need. Also, the fact that everybody in that group is Hobbit just makes it that much more hilarious to just run around and decimate the landscape. And I did the class quest for the level 15 class quest for the Brawler, which I hadn't done yet. And you actually get to use some of your skills because it's solo instance, so you're the only one in there, so you get to build up your metal and hey, this is what this. So I finally got to see what the groin kick does and what the animation looks like on that. It is amazing. It's awesome. So I stand by my original assessment of the class, which is it's really fun to play. Also, on a side note, unattended Lalia still dies. Super laser focused on the epic, and we got to the point where you go talk to Tom Bombadil, and on the way through the Barrow Downs to go talk to Tom, I saw her and I set her loose. And I was like, yeah, I'll pick up the quest to go find her after she dies. And yeah, she died before we left Tom's the first time. And I also, a couple of weeks ago, before things happened and I wasn't able to really join the show for a little bit, apparently I decided that I wanted to be a masochist with my Valar, because I decided, I don't know why, to Valar a warden. So
hey, I know why you did it, because everybody is so tired of getting golden warden gear that you could probably just get instantly equipped with the best gear possible, because everybody always gets warden gear. See?
What?
I don't know if that's actually the thing, but yeah, I was looking through and I'm like, well, what characters do I not have like multiple? What classes do I not have like multiples of? It turns out I only had one warden. There's probably a reason why I only had one warden. Because warden allies are not fun. Actually,
no, they're not.
No, I mean, the system for doing allies has vastly improved for probably most classes. Warden is not one of those classes. Yeah, so I Valared it and did the ally stuff, and she's exactly where I left her. And then that was the first Valar, so I still have to figure out what I'm going to do with the second Valar. I just dumped it in the storage for right now because I'm not even ready to deal with it. And then outside of LOTRO, I have been playing lots and lots of Craft the World, so much Craft the World, because it doesn't really require any brain power, is really what happens, because by the time I finally make it to my desk, I have no brain power, and the internet's been spotty. So I launched the game, and I have it on for maybe 20, 30 minutes, and I end up maybe going through a monster wave, and then I'll turn it off. But I started from scratch again, because I reworked the mods that I was using, and I have made it to, as of this morning, World 4. So slowly but surely I'm making my way back to what is currently the final world in the most recent DLC that came out a while back, which is Elves Are Evil, which is amazing and awesome. I'm actually looking forward to getting back there, but I have to slog through everything else first. And then I logged into ESO for the first time in ever. And did the thing with the champion points, because champion points are reset. And I got Terry to champion level 60, so I earned a new costume that she will not be caught dead in, because it's a little on the skimpy side. And then on the way out last night, I noticed that in the launcher, it's, telling you things that are on sale, kind of how LOTRO does. And I saw what looked like a dinosaur. And I said, what is this? And it turns out that it's not actually a dinosaur, but it's a mount that looks like a dinosaur. It's called the Dramatican Steed. It looks awesome. It looks like a big red dinosaur with a harness on it. And you can ride it like a horse. Except, obviously, it's not a horse, it's a dinosaur. So I popped open the Crown store just to see what I was looking at there, and I had 12,600 crowns. So dinosaur was 4,000 spent, and I was so super proud of myself for this purchase. And then on my way out of the launcher again, I see Snow Globe House. And I said, what is this? So, after dinner, I logged into ESO before we did the grand unplugging, and I bought myself, I previewed it first just to see if it was actually something that I wanted. And I bought myself the furnished Snow Globe House, which is very posh. I bought the furnished version because I suck at decorating houses. But yeah, and played around on my Warden. I logged into my werewolf warden, and then realized that the reason she didn't have warden skills is because I had turned her into a werewolf. So I logged back out as warden, and I logged into my Templar, who is running around with the dinosaur mount, and she has another one of those outfits that Terry would not be caught dead in because it's a little bit skimpy. And I was saying before the show that I really should roll a male character and see if said outfits are skimpy on the guy characters also, because it's actually one of the things that I've noticed about ESO is that skimpy outfits are skimpy regardless of gender. So, like, yay for gender equality, I guess. But bears
for fashion. No.
bears some testing, because I don't know, chainmail bikinis still really should not be a thing, regardless of what gender you happen to be. So yeah, that was my couple weeks. Pineleaf, how about you?
We'll start with my Crick Hollow Warden, who listened to the opinion of an orc relating to the current status of the war in Gundabad. My Honor Warden resolved an incident between the Dale folk and some Easterlings. And my Landrival Warden participated in a raid at the Threshold. Now, in this, I think we were about... I forgot what level we ran the raid at. I think we might have run it at... I think we tried at 134, then we toned it down to maybe 131 or 132 or something like this. I can't remember what was the final level we had. But the most important thing is that we finally survived that raid. So, right. See, a few of us were over-leveled on it and stuff like this, but we finally managed to get all the way through it and complete the raid on the Threshold and see the ending, which, of course, should be no surprise because there's a certain storyline quest that ends with that has the same ending on it, because that's the end of the Lord of Gundabad. Let's see, was it the chapter, the end of chapter 4 of the... I
don't know, whatever chapter we were on before they sent us back in time.
Yeah, yes, whatever. The last chapter that Terry has done is, yes. So essentially the raid ends the same way as the final instance before the break on the War of Three Peaks. So that completes our first time on completing that particular item. And that's it for my week in LOTRO. As for news beyond LOTRO, we have a wallpaper gallery by Darren Loremaster, which includes the relating to Minas Ithil Wentz Tower of the Moon. This shows 4 different versions of that. We currently have our top supporter this month is LOTRObuild.com. This is a collection of full LOTRO databases that includes a items database, a relics database, and a titles database. Also, you can use it right from your Discord server with LOTRObuild.com. LOTRObuild bot. We currently have 16 supporters on Patreon. If you would like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, you can go to the donations page. You can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. We would use for podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. We did not receive any emails this week. We feel like since when you can send it to podcast@LOTROplayers.com. You can also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Ally, LOTRO Players at LOTRO Players, Arendis at Arendis, Pvmp at Pvmp Needles, Sanswinda at Sanswinda, Terry Edwin at Terry Edwin, Guarendis at Guarendis, and Calabathian at Calabathian. And I am sure that Krister is too busy mining and crafting to have such an account. The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. UAC Eastern Time. We have LOTRO Players News, and we have DDO Players News whenever Drac is available to do a show. You can join us for our shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight, and this is Pine Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.